I really want to have this discussion about what happened this year and the changes that occurred and the transition that I am making and still making. And I feel like I'm trying to figure out what my new normal is after working in a company for 4 years. And I am not sure what that is. And this has been a huge wake up call for me. It's just a wake up call, but it's also like a realization of what I need to improve on. Um, but it's also realizing the nature of change that is occurring. And my routine is totally off. And I don't know what that really is. My anxiety is up the roof because I have bills to pay. I'm not sure how I'm going to pay them. And I feel like my consistency is out of sorts. And the people that I asked to rely upon, I can't rely on. And it's kind of like I just got me and myself and I to rely upon in my situation. It's really tough. Like, literally, I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. I don't know how to get off of it yet. Sometimes I wonder to ask myself if I would want to get off of this hamster wheel. But for those of you who do follow me, I know, like, for the past 4 years, I've been working at a retail store since the pandemic. And I've been working in that store for 4 years because I was looking for a full-time job. But because of the whole situation of the lockdown during the pandemic, I couldn't get a full-time job that I wanted. So I decided to stay and apply for part-time jobs. And because of the part-time job, I was able to work full-time because they had a lot of hours and they were giving it away. And I'm just like, okay, I'll stay and take the hours. Because no one else was working. We couldn't hire anybody because people are afraid to get that COVID situation. So, okay, I was like, fine, we'll do it that way. So I took on the hours and I had worked, my way. And I became a shift supervisor within a year working there. Because I was very diligent. I was very reliable. I was basically the top, employees that came in. I loved what I did. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. I loved what I did. I loved being around the people that I did. And it's like we were helping each other out in many cases. And that was great. I just enjoyed being around my employees. I don't know if they liked being around me, but that's a different story. I can't answer that question. So I've been working there for 4 years. Fast forwarding, then they went through a bankruptcy situation. And that bankruptcy said a lot. They went through an opioid situation where they were doing something illegal with it, or the people in pharmacy did something illegal with it. I don't know what really happened, what the whole story is, but whatever the case may be, the situation, because I don't really listen to the news very often, that was the problem. It's because some people were getting drugs they shouldn't be getting, or whatever. So that was happening. So now we had to pack up and leave the store because the company didn't want to renew the lease with where they were for over 30 years. Because they didn't want to renew the lease, I was transferred to the store, and after 3 years of working in my current store that was 5 minutes away from my house, I have to drive 30 minutes to a different location and work there for a year. And I basically had to take care of that store like it was my store, because I had a assistant manager who didn't do any work, and I had to make sure work got done. And I worked with the store manager Jim, who also had to be transferred all the way to Morrisville because Morrisville is a town in Pennsylvania near Trenton, because they didn't have a store manager anymore because their store manager quit. So basically, I was the acting store manager until my old store manager I used to work with figured out to take care of the other store, and then I stood at my store, like worked at my what's called a store called in Richboro, Pennsylvania, that store until I get that sorted out and then get that all squared away. Like because I was waiting for my old store manager that I used to work with in my town to come with me. Because I was like, I'll take care of everything. Don't worry about it. All you got to deal with is just look pretty when the district manager comes in right now. Because when I took care of my store, I took care of the store. I told anybody who messes with my back room, we'll have problems. Put things back where they belong. Like when I worked with my old store, I'm going to be quick about this. I had really good employees. They were younger. They were great. They listened to what I said. And I had, it was a coexistence, like there was like men and women working together. So I had that, so which is great. In my store, my front end in the store that I was transferred to had all men, and I was only female on my team. And because I was only female on my team, I had to make sure that I don't get walked all over. And I was very, very adamant about that because once you start being walked all over, they expect you to do that more. I'm like, no. So I don't do that very well. I know. So like I made sure like if you want anything on the shelves, you ask me, I'll pull it off. Or the other manager that's on the team. I don't care who it is because I don't really trust anybody who else could touch this stuff. Because this is some of the work that I did. It's the pictures, yeah. Let me just give you a second. Give me here. Here's them here. Look. And then there were some of these paperworks that the other manager before my store manager Jim came in on board didn't get done, which I sat down for hours trying to get that sorted out too. Let me say this. I don't get paid enough to do this shit, but I did it anyway because I cannot. My mental health is so important to me that I had to clean this up. I cannot deal with the natural sense of mess. And I just can't I cannot deal with this organization. You know, when I'm at work, I cannot. I have enough disorganization at home. But at work, I had to deal with this. And thank God I did because it drove me crazy. Oh my God, like I don't know what the previous store manager before Jim came did, but they did not do this right. So I made sure things got done, sorted, and organized. And thank God I did. That's just a snippet of what I dealt with at my new home store. All right. And then there was me in another store that's 30 minutes away from my current store that I was helping out. My manager Jim took over and I helped out in. And I'm very good at coordinating, organizing, and collaborating things. So this is what it looked like when I had to deal with the drinks that were transitioned from my old store where I used to work, that was 5 minutes away, to my local store that to the current store that everything was shipped to. And I saw one of the boxes of my handwriting. I'm like, that's my handwriting, and it got shipped here. So this is what I had to deal with when I was at the other store. And this was just a snippet of what the bigger store looked like. I'm used to smaller stores. I'm very good with smaller, but when it comes to bigger stores where things are a little bit much more spread out, yeah. And not enough, it's a smaller back room. Like my back room you saw was a lot bigger than that, but this back room is smaller than normal. I'm just like, how am I gonna fit this? How am I gonna organize this and make this fit on the shelf, like in the back room, and then later on, like, figured it out, eventually put it through. But yeah, we made it work. My old store manager Jim got mad at me one time because I did something I shouldn't have done, and that pissed him off. I'm like, I get it. I don't really listen very well, especially when I want to get work done. But I'm the type of person who just it's what I gotta do better. I gotta do better listening. I struggle with that. But yeah, that was something that I was doing. Yeah. And then my old manager John was on board with me too. So and I like him a lot. I really do. But that was my experience with that company. And then and after 3 months of helping them clean up that store, they were shutting that store down. And here's the picture. All that hard work just to go downhill because the corporation decided to close that store down because they can't afford to keep the store open. I mean, it's not my problem, but oh, I can't with these corporations anymore. I just can't with these types of corporations because they need to know how to finance their money, right? And be honest in situations instead of giving a vibe that how dishonest they can really be. I'm just saying the facts. And this store is what the liquidator had to come in and take over. Literally, I'm like, got it. And he was really on our ass about everything. He's like, you can't just take shelves and just do all that. I'm like, you know what? You're going out of business. And Reddit had the rights to these shelves beforehand. Okay? I'm going to take the shelves that I need because the fact that we need them in my store right now. Okay? And it's hard to find shelvings nowadays because a lot of stores do not have enough. And I threw a lot of my shelvings away too. I didn't say it like that, but I really wanted to say to the liquidator. Okay? I'm going to take my shelves that I need. Okay? Because at that time I had to go to market to get some supplies because holy crap, they're kind of like, because when I cleaned up my store, I just didn't really think about things through. I just did what I did, and then yeah. So yeah, that was my journey, and that was the first 3 months I was there. In the last 8 months or 7 months, I had to go to a town called Newtown. I helped them out. And then I went to Warminster because my friend James needed help. So I helped him out. And then Bristol, I think where Jim took over. So I went to Bristol. And then from Bristol, that's about it. Those 3 stores I had to go around and help out in. So I really like understood that James is a really good friend of mine that I liked, because he would give me the hours I need. I'm like, I need the hours. So yeah, they really helped me. They really helped me out when I needed them the most. But yeah, there are times when, you know, I've learned a lot from Rite Aid, how to be a manager, how to keep it organized, how to get the financial side to keep going, because Rite Aid was not paying their vendors and I had to deal with that. And I was just like, you've gotta be joking me. Like, for example, Pepsi was not getting paid. I'm like, why isn't Pepsi getting paid? And Pepsi, big product that we buy and we sell, we make sure that happens, you know? So basically, like with Pepsi, I made sure Pepsi got paid constantly. That, and I think Coca-Cola as well. I didn't have too much problem with Coca-Cola, but I remember that too. Because the discrepancy of the payment bills did not match up. I'm just like, what is the discrepancy here? So I called their billing department, made sure that happened. It was just one of those things with retail that I realized that it's a lot of work for little pay. The reason why I did it is because I cared about my old store manager, John. Like, he is a brother to me. When I needed help with something, he was there. Like, it's hard to find people like that. I'm not gonna lie. My store manager, John, I took care of the store that I did, Richboro, because my store manager, John, in my local store here, I'm not gonna say my town right now, he basically took care of me like I needed it. He was the extra hour because I had to take my son to a doctor's appointment that sometimes I forget about, or when I needed to be late because my son was having a tantrum on the bus and I had to come in late. He was there. You know, I made sure that happened. Like, the transitional stages for me during the pandemic was hard for me, as well as a 5 or 6 year old when he was young. So I was trying to figure out how to make the transition easier for him, because he's going to public school, he was doing that. Like, it was just a lot, and he was not, his tantrums and his it was just too much for him, too much, like, for my son as well. So the acclimating all that was hard. So I had to make sure that he was okay. And so John stayed. He stayed and took care of the store until I came in for my shift in the afternoon and be there. So I really appreciated him. It was hard to find people like that. Like, find people who would just be understanding. Like, I always see, like, I look out for people who look out for me. Like, we look out for each other. If we look out for each other, that's right. The company go into shitstorms, but as long as we look out for each other, that's what matters the most. That's how corporations should be looking at their employees. And I was lucky. And I was fucking lucky with that. Forget my language, but yes, I was lucky to have a team that looked out for each other. When you get compensated, we got compensated for things. If my employee got hurt, I'll make sure they got compensated for that. You know, like, I was that type of leader that just showed care of what they needed. There are times I would buy them donuts too. I think donuts is just enough to say thank you. Like, there are times I will give them gift cards when it's their birthday. But I'm that type of employee that just shows up when you need me too, as well. So that's how I showed up for him in so many ways with John. I'm grateful. Maybe one day he'll see this video. I don't know, but he was that type of guy that I would always, in a long time, will have his back on shit. But we shall see. I mean, there are times I was being a little crass towards him, or there are times when I've been, you know, a little bit intense, where some guys called me. I was like, do not ever call me intense. Never tell a woman that she's intense, okay? Especially when she's in the PMSing mode. I told you about it. I was like, okay. He was 7 years younger than me, but like, I looked at him like he was like part of my family. And I really did. This is why I get emotional when I talk about it, because I care about them so much. That's how much I care. But yeah, that's, anyways, I know I'm getting a little bit forward, but that's just what it looked like in 2024. That's what I went through. I think I'm going to part 2 because it's already getting long enough as it is. But I met some really good people who I cared about. Like, even when I was in Morrisville, you know, I took care of this kid named Steven, because he got a bill for a situation. I told him, like, yo, if you got a problem with something, let me know. I'll fix that shit for you. Because if it's legal matter, I'll take handle it. I'm the type of person that, like, even if, like, because this kid Steven was working in a union store at the time. Long story short, his store closed down. Went to the store that he is now, that's a non-union store. And because he went to a non-union store, he basically got his bill stating the fact that he had to owe money for the union. And I'm just like, well, let me talk to them. And I called them up, told them that he is not working in a union store. The store that he worked for closed down. Therefore, he is not paying this bill. Like that. They dropped the bill. He didn't have to pay $300 something for that. So I made sure that happened. That's the type of person I am. I got your back. And that's what I did. Like, I remember that too. Like, I did that. Even Steven still remembers that. And he's so grateful for them. I'm like, good. I got you. Not just say that, oh, they're out for themselves. Like, no, I got you. When I say I got you in most cases, okay? If it's a reasonable person, in a reasonable scenario, but I do. So yeah, that's what this situation taught me. Like, he was like, everybody got pissed when Morrisville was gonna close down within like a month or two. I think they closed down in May or June. I think it was June of June 7th. It was June 7th. So knowing that, June 7th, 2024, that store, I helped out. I would go from Richboro to Morrisville, worked 80 hours a week, sometimes and more. And I would give myself up for this. I gave myself up for this company too much, to the point where I'm just like, oh. Then I did a video about that in January, about this one store that I worked at. You would see it in my first video of this year. I was doing Instacart and Uber then. But, yeah. That story. A lot of memories. They're between two Wawas. There were one, there's a gas station Wawa and a drive-through Wawa. In between was Rite Aid. I'm like, why is there two different Wawas? And I never seen anybody go into that drive-through Wawa. Not once. That when I've been there, I have never seen anybody once go in that drive-through Wawa. So yeah. Anyways, that's just it. That's just it with Rite Aid. And took care of my store still, and then still dealt with that stuff. Still dealt with the whole billing discrepancy still. And yeah, that was it. Like, Rite Aid taught me a lot about managerial skills. That they really taught me that. They really taught me how to step up my game and step up in situation and start stepping into where I'm supposed to be in life. It really taught me how to be more responsible and teach me the nature of how to be that person that can really excel in. And I did well. Anyways, I'm gonna do a bit of part 2. Not gonna be as long as this one, but 2024 has taught me a lot. The past 4 years taught me a lot. This is why my routine seems to be off, because I don't know what to do next with the job situation. But anyways, I'm gonna get going. This is a long enough video, but I will do a part 2 and 2022, 2025 is what I'm dealing with now. Oh yeah, and also, like, I also bought myself a car too. That's what I did too. Like, I bought myself a car, you know, at the same year, which I also lost this year. But that's a different story. I am going to tell you that story in the next video. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Bye. And stay tuned for part 2.